Hello, this is Christopher from LearnGuides.com. Today we're going to install Debian 8 in a VirtualBox virtual machine so that we can begin to use Hadoop with it. So the first thing you'll need to do is fire up your web browser and go to VirtualBox. And once you're at VirtualBox, if you don't already have it installed, you can click on Downloads. And go ahead, and I would recommend using the 4.3 version, which is right here, the latest 4.3 version. That one will probably be the most stable. You can also go ahead and opt for the newest version, 5. It's mostly stable as well, but it's a pretty new release at the time of this recording. Either one will configure almost identically. I'm going to be using version 4.3 for this tutorial, so go ahead and click on whichever particular one you'd like and download the appropriate version. Here's the one you'll pick for Windows, and then go ahead and click OK, and remember where you saved that file. Install it and then come back to the video. Once you're back to the video, you'll also need a copy of Debian GNU Linux. And you'll need to click from Debian's homepage, you'll click Getting Debian, and then you'll scroll down and you want a small installation image, and you want under Tiny CDs, select either AMD 64 or i386. If you're not sure whether or not you have a 64-bit processor and VirtualBox is 64-bit, then go ahead and pick the 386. That will work on either system. I personally know that I have a 64-bit processor with 64-bit Windows, so I'm going to click on this one. That will take you to this FTP directory. Then you'll click on NetBoot, and then click Mini ISO and save that, and remember where you save that as well. So next, after we're finished downloading everything, we'll open up VirtualBox and you'll click New. For the name, it can be just about anything. VirtualBox will automatically identify that I typed Debian, and it's probably going to be 64-bit, and it will do all that stuff. So I'll pick Debian GNU Linux 64-bit. And then if you are using a 32-bit, you can go ahead and drop this down and pick Debian 32-bit. For memory size, 512 sufficient, but I'm going to bump mine up to 2 gigs. Go ahead and bump it up to about half of your available RAM, at least 512, and then click Create. Everything's looking good. The default file size of 8 gigabytes I'd recommend, especially if you're going to install the graphical desktop, which we will be doing in this tutorial. So you'll need about 5 gigabytes for the graphical desktop. You'll need about 1 gigabyte dedicated for just the command line, plus several gigs for the Hadoop files. So I'm going to leave all this the same and click Create. So now it's created right here, and we'll go up here to Settings, and the first thing we need to change is on Storage. Right here for this first controller, we want to pick Live CD and click this disk. From here we'll click Choose a Virtual CD Disk Image, and we'll navigate to that Mini ISO file we found or downloaded and click Open. Now this will cause VirtualBox to boot from this disk as if it were a PC, a bare PC with that disk inserted into it. The next thing we'll need to change is the network adapter. NAT defaults to creating basically a network of virtual machines within their own subnet. I'm going to go ahead and do bridged adapter, and what that will do is that will make it as if this is a separate machine attached to my same network that my host computer is, so that this machine will appear on the network as an individual machine instead of behind another network subnet. Okay, and then after we do that, we can click OK, and then we'll click Start. This will fire up the virtual machine and boot from the CD. And from here, go ahead and pick Install. Just hit Enter. It'll take it a few seconds to kick in. And most of this install will just be pressing Enter a lot if you don't mind using English in the defaults, if you have American keyboard layout. The only one you'll probably specifically want to change besides what I show is the download mirror. If you're outside of the West Coast US, then there may be a location closer for you. So I'll pick English just by hitting Enter, United States Enter, American English Enter for key map. That will finish within a handful of seconds. Go ahead and just leave the host name Debian. It's kind of like the computer name. I'm going to assume that this virtual machine is just going to be a virtual machine for dealing with Hadoop in this tutorial. If you want to add any of these details in to give it a fuller install, you're welcome to, but I'm going to leave these blank. United States again for the archive mirror country. You'll want to pick a different country, obviously, if you're in a different one. Most of these should be okay choices. If you're unsure, just go ahead and hit Enter on the top one. I'm going to pick this one. I don't have any proxy info, so I'm going to leave it blank. While you're going through this, you can use Alt F1, or excuse me, Alt F4 to switch to the console and actually see what's going on behind the scenes, and you can press Alt F1 to go back to the graphical looking installer. One thing to know to get in the habit of is if you're switching between terminals like that, you have with the Debian install, you can hit Alt F1, Alt F2, Alt F3, Alt F4, and it'll switch between all these consoles. I'm going to hit Alt F2 and press Enter to activate, then you're logged in and you can run basic commands and things like that. But if you're on a laptop, you might have to hit Function, Alt, and the F key to get it to kick in. And also if you're in X Windows, the windowing system for GNU Linux, you'll hit Control, Alt, and optionally the FN key and then the function key just to make it really exciting. So if you're having a problem switching between terminals, try adding in Control and Function as well as the Alt key. I'm going to press Control Alt F1 to switch back here. Now it's asking me for a root password. I basically, for these type of installs, I just pick like a PIN number and use that. It's really quick and easy to remember. I'm not too worried about having extremely robust security, so I'll go ahead and do that. Re-enter the same password. And right here that was the root account. Now we're going to set up a normal regular user account that has typical permissions like you do in any operating system. They ask for your full name. I go ahead and just enter a handle here. And then this will be the actual username that you type in to log into the account. I'll leave that the same. Password, I'm going to use the same exact PIN. Time zone, pick appropriately. Now it will load in some components now that it knows where we're going. And next we're going to choose the partitioning method. This is where the hard disk or the virtual hard disk is divided up. You're going to want to press down 3 times the down key and pick manual. And then push down 3 times again and pick SCSI 3 SDA. And now they're just basically asking you if you want to go ahead and go through with this, and we'll hit left once and select yes and press enter. So now it's created a partition, completely free space. We need to do something with that space, so push down once, enter to select it. We'll create a new partition. I'm going to leave mine at the full size. I'm going to opt out for a swap file. If you have put in over a gig of memory in the VirtualBox settings, you should be fine without a swap file. And primary. Press enter to select that. Now we're going to push the down arrow, and we're going to leave this mostly default except for this bootable flag. Hit enter, and that will change it to on. And then we'll go all the way down and select done setting up the partition. And then we'll push down a few times and go to finish partitioning and write changes to disk. Now they're warning us we don't have a swap file. You should be fine without one. It should utilize your Windows swap file as long as you've allotted it enough RAM, like we did with 2 gigs. So go ahead and hit right arrow and select no. Go ahead and hit the left arrow to write the changes, enter. Okay, now that all the software is installed, it's asking us if we'd like to participate in the package usage survey. All this is an anonymous deal where they count which packages are installed on which systems to see which packages are the most important, which ones should be prioritized, things like that. It doesn't matter if you pick to volunteer to join it or not. I'm going to go ahead and say yeah. And here we'll want to select the few basic settings to set up our actual Linux system, our desktop environment. Check LXDE for the desktop environment. Even if you do leave this checked, still come down here and select LXDE as well. And go ahead and go down a couple more times and hit the space bar to unselect print server. And we'll leave the standard system utilities. So you should have at least LXDE and standard system utilities selected, and then press enter. Now it's going to download the rest of the required files. This will take more or less 20 minutes, at least by my system time, to complete. And after that we'll install the bootloader and we will be ready to reboot into the system. Okay, now we just need to install the Grub bootloader, which is a little tiny program that installs itself at the very front of the hard drive, and the system will look there to decide where to go, and this program will tell it to go to our new Linux installation. So press enter to select yes, install Grub bootloader to the master boot record. And then you'll choose the second choice for dev SDA and press enter. And after a handful of seconds, our system will be ready to reboot. Okay, so now what we need to do is remove the disk from our virtual drive that we used to install. So we'll switch back over to the Oracle Virtual Machine Manager. If you close that down, go ahead and reopen it, and then we'll pick our new install and then click settings. Then go to storage, click on mini ISO again. Go ahead and uncheck live CD if you want, and remove disk from virtual drive. Click OK to save the change. and then switch back to your Debian GNU Linux and go ahead and click continue, enter. And our system will automatically boot into that first choice. You can just press enter key if you want to boot into it immediately without waiting for the 5-second delay. When you get that first login prompt, don't start to log in yet. You probably won't even see it. Okay, at this prompt, just go ahead and type in the regular username that you created. And press enter or tab and type in your password or PIN number. And press enter to log in. And your screen's probably going to look something more like this, with scroll bars and stuff. And you can press the host key, which is the right control key on the keyboard. So hold down right control and press F to go to full screen, or you can hold down right control, the host key again, and press F to go back out of full screen. And then to get rid of the scroll bars, you can just hold down the right control key and press C, and that will pitch you into scaled mode. And then you can adjust the window and you'll get the entire view in there, no matter which size you adjust it to. For Clipit, which I'm pretty sure is a clipboard history program that probably just saves your clipboard history throughout each login session. It looks like it right here. It's asking if we want to save the history on the hard drive in a plain text file, and that could be a security risk. I don't personally care about saving my clipboard history between sessions, so I'm going to click no. So this is your Debian GNU Linux system with the X windowing system, LXDE graphical user interface. It has a handful of programs pre-installed. You can dig through here and try out all these programs. So that's it for this tutorial. Check out the next tutorial to get started with Hadoop. To log out of your virtual machine and shut it down, hold down the right control key and press H to send the ACPI shutdown signal.